Hi everybody. So today I'm here to show you the Steam controller. This is sort of a review of it. And I've had it for, well, I've had it since launch, which is November 10th. So I went, like the day that it came out, I went out and I bought it physically at a retailer rather than waiting for it to get shipped by Steam. Because I heard some stuff that the shipping was taking a while, so I just figured, why the hell not, just go and buy it. It's still the same price, 50 bucks, plus a little bit of in tax. It saves me a lot of time, so why not? So I've had this since November 10th. I'm recording this on January 25th, so it's been a couple months. And I've had a lot of time to mess with this. I have played every single game that I've played before with a controller. I'm now using this on because it works just the same, if not a little bit better for me, because I have gigantic hands. And let me just get the Xbox controller that I was using. I didn't have a real wired Xbox 360 joystick, so I had like something like this, something like one of the little off-brand shitty kind. That, I mean, it's serviceable. The bumpers are a bit meh, but overall, no, it's a good controller. But if you can tell, I can fit it. Like, compared to the Steam controller, they're totally different sizes. Steam controller's way bigger. My hands are huge, and this feels better for me. I heard some people complaining about the size of the buttons, like the face buttons, so the X, Y, B, A buttons being small, but I didn't really notice it, to be honest. So there's the standard triggers, bumpers. Then there's like the D-pad that's up here, which is a little bit strange at first. But it has its own kind of clicking sensitivity, and then there's the pad itself that you hear weird stuff about, where it's the touchpad. It's like a trackpad on a laptop. Then there's the face buttons, which are, I mean, they're face buttons. You can't really do anything wrong with them. It's hard to mess those up. And then you have the paddles on the back. And then there's a little switch on the bottom and it pops off, and then there's like your information on the inside, and then your batteries, which are two AA's, actually go in the handle grips. It actually gives this thing quite a bit of weight. It's funny how light it is when the batteries aren't in there, and then this thing just slides back in and snaps. What's weird is that let me take this off again. What's weird is that the way to get the batteries out is to pull up on these little, you can't really see them. Let me see if I can get up there and show you guys. These little things in here, kind of right underneath my finger there, it's just kind of shiny next to the battery. What that is the actual paddle button. So when you're hitting the paddles, you're hitting those, but if you push them up, here, I'll just do it really quick, push it up, the battery pops out. That's how you change your batteries. Let me just slide that thing back in. I think it works. And so I got this for 50 bucks. And I got a Steam Link at the same time, which is a little bit more hard for me to review because I don't want to take my phone down there. I don't really have a dedicated camera besides the webcam here, and I'm not going to be able to bring my whole setup downstairs and set that up. It takes too long. But the Steam Link works well. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this thing, $50 for this. I paid $21 for that other Xbox controller that I just showed you. And for $50 for this thing, this has been one of the most useful things that I've ever had. Like, for my PC, besides obviously like my mouse and keyboard and so that you need. Like as an accessory, as a third thing to have, this is very, very nice. I've been totally pleased with it. I hear people have problems sometimes with the buttons and stuff doesn't work properly, but I think that's just like a mess up in the manufacturing that isn't really the fault of the controller itself. Like if your stick's fucked up, it's not the controller's fault, it's the manufacturing fault, and you can contact Steam or get a refund if you can show them that it's messed up. Now it has a little adapter. Hold on, let me pull this out of my computer and I'll show you. It's a little wireless adapter. Now, the range on it's pretty decent. I think I've gotten 20 feet away, and it still worked properly. But no, it's definitely very easy to use. The whole controller is very easy to use. And the only drawback that I'd say to the entire thing is that, one, it only works with Steam games, or a third-party Steam game that you have to add to your Steam list and make sure that the Steam overlay is running on, which can kind of be a problem if you acquire games, but that's your own fault. You should just expect that some shit just won't work. Or GOG. There's some GOG games. I had trouble getting The Witcher 3 set up, but I learned that if you disable GOG's overlay, then you can use Steam's just fine. Otherwise, for some reason, they don't work well together. But for GTA, for Dark Souls, I played Helldivers with this, which is actually really fun. Even Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, there's crazy community controller setups that people make that you can actually download and just use, where, like, instead of using X and Y, your attacks are the triggers, which is kind of cool. So with all this said, let me show you a little bit more about the software that you have to use and how the layout kind of looks when you're using the Steam controller. So, welcome guys. This is Steam Big Picture. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a Steam Big Picture mode. It's not that bad once you get used to it. So let's turn on the Steam controller. There's a little startup tone, and let's make sure we're actually in Steam. So now here we go. My Kestrelos is connected. I think that's very bad. So first thing you can do is you can add or test a controller if it doesn't automatically connect. I don't need to do that, and I can check out the dedicated controllers, which I already have. It's registered to my account. I can personalize it, change the name, change the sound, like turning on and off, and the brightness, because there's a button in the middle. Here, I'll turn on the camera really quick. You guys can see. There's a little button, lights up in the middle. You can change the brightness of that if you want. It's not that big of a deal. So, the way that it works is, so let's say I want to play something like, let's say I want to play something like Darksiders. Let's go to Darksiders, manage game, configure controller. So here's the basic controller settings. You have all your stuff for triggers, right trigger, bumpers, whatever. If you go to Browse Configs with X, you can change it to this and third person. Literally the basic configuration. That's really dumb. Okay, Darksiders configuration with Gyro. So I put new Barbarian, soft press, double tap right now. So okay, so here you can look at the settings of the gyro and look at it. How does it work? It's a mouse joystick. It enables the right trigger softly. And I have to adjust the sensitivity of the stick in the rotation of the horizontal line mouse movement. So yeah, it's from what I understand, this is like if you hold your mouse weird, but we're not holding a mouse, we're holding a controller. So it's gonna be emulating something a little bit different. Gyro camera style. If you have lean set on, I have lean for a couple of games, but whatever. They have it set to a right stick click for the basic, just one click, and then for the double click, which is being the advanced settings, it's a D-pad down. And you can even turn like a little beep or whatever if you want. So now this is set up. If you want to change it at any point in time, you can actually just hit the Steam button again while you're in a game, and it just changes. It'll pull this up. It'll pull up your overlay. You can go to controller configuration and change it right there. So this works with literally any game. So let's go to something that is very atypical, like Dota. Where is Dota on my list? There we go. Dota 2. Manage content. Configure controller. This is their default configuration, which we are going to totally change. Barbarian 6 skill configuration. What does this do? Let's see. Wow, okay, so now we're seeing how they're binding triggers. They have a touch menu set up here, which is kind of interesting. Okay. The scoreboard, S, ability 5. So all of the abilities are bound to your face buttons with the exception of anything that have like an ability 4 or 5, which would be up on your bumpers, it looks like. The paddles are... Okay, this is actually very cool. I need to try this at some point, and I might make a video of me trying to play Dota 2 with this. So there's how these work, and then you can go to games that aren't on your Steam list, so it'll tell me if I filter them out. Let's go and... Well, no, we're going to have to go find them manually, looks like. Okay, something like Not a Hero, which is a game that I have on GOG, not on Steam. So it tries to default it. Every time there's something that isn't a Steam game, it's going to try to default it to the standard keyboard configuration. So WASD is your stick, and then F, R, and E for your basic keybinds and space. So I don't know how well it's happened yet. Yeah, it hasn't really happened yet. They're trying to roll out things to where you can get community configurations on non-Steam EXEs, which basically means it's going to try to see if other people have the same game. Even though it's a non-Steam game, if enough people have the same game, there will try to be community templates for it, which is kind of an interesting idea. So let's do gamepad with camera controls. There we go. Now we have a decent setup. I believe last time I looked at Witcher actually had a setup. We can get all the way down there. For some reason, it thinks that my Witcher 3... Oh, no, there we go. Right here, community. See? Community configurations for the game. Witcher 3 Precision Mode with mode shifts. So now we have a really in-depth community-made Witcher 3 thing for a copy of Witcher 3 that I only have on GOG. It's not even on my Steam account because I got it with the graphics card that I have. But it's very nice. I like this. I like that they're actually trying to go out of their way to support non-Steam games. It's a very nice thing. It's a very cool function for a controller that, to me, is worth it because it doesn't cost more than current gen controllers. If you want a PS4 gamepad or an Xbox One joypad, it costs like $60, I do believe. So for $50, something that takes you a little bit longer to figure out how to use is not that bad. So, with that being said, that's my noise turning off. If you want to use this, like if you're just sitting down on the couch, or you have like, or you just want to like not... For me, it works for me because I have like a futon couch that I can sit on the other side of my room. If I want to turn on like music or something, I can go over and pull up like a tab of Chrome or something, and I can still be using this. Using it as a, like the keyboard function, there's like a hotkey for it. I never really use it, but as like a basic controller to like use for like emulating mouse movement, it's very nice. So with that being said, let's move on to the important part of this review, which will be games. I have a selected set of games that I'll be showing you guys that I pre-recorded a couple days ago. So, here we are guys with the actual part of the review that we all want to see, which is the games. So first off, the Dark Souls 2. You guys just saw my my setup for my controller up there. So what I want to show you guys is that I have the roll bound to the back paddles and I have a target on the other one. It took me a while to figure out the correct sensitivity, but I actually eventually figured out how to make it to where when I rotate my finger to the outer edge of the analog pad, the little slidey pad thing, that I can actually change targets. That took me about, I don't know, a week to figure out because it has to do with the pad sensitivity. If you have it set wrong, you're not pulling hard enough for it to actually change. But you guys can see that I'm just kind of messing around and showing off the controllers and the actual buttons and what all the functions do. It's mapped almost exactly like the Xbox pad is. I have it actually set to emulate, for the majority of it, an Xbox 360 controller. Now, there are a few games that don't work like this, that you can have kind of a hybrid control scheme, which we'll see later on with the Resident Evil game that I play. But overall, this works really well. Emulated as a 360 pad, you have no problems whatsoever. You still get all the nice, fine-tuned movement that you'd want for a game like this. Next up is Fallout 4. I made this layout based on somebody else's. I don't remember who it was, so I can't give them all the credit. I'm sorry. But I changed a few things about this setup. This has a gyro activation. When I'm touching the pad, if you look a couple times, I'll try to make it really obvious. But when I'm moving, whenever I'm touching the pad, the gyro activates. And I have it set to where the gyro activation can be limited when I slowly press on the left trigger. When I pull it as a hard press, it actually gives me back the free gyro, and I can just kind of like throw my controller around and it goes crazy. But it's a very nice fine line, and I actually changed the thing about this controller setup to where when you press on the D-pad and you actually click it, because there's like a little click to it like you can with the actual analog stick, and you rotate it clockwise or counterclockwise, it actually lets you select different things, so you don't have to always open up the menu and take stuff piece by piece from the loot. I hate doing that. I like the new looting system in Fallout 4. I like using it because I always hated going into the menu, because sometimes I only want to grab like one or two things, and I wanted to use the controllers, so I figured out the easiest way to do that for me was just to change that outer binding, because I don't know what the person who originally had the setup set it to, but it wasn't useful for me. But everything about this is set up in a way that I found completely useful, and I would imagine that people found it completely useful, because it's just the name's a logical setup. So it's a pretty logical setup for the controller, I thought. It mimics what you would expect from a 360 pad with a little bit of a change. In fact, I kind of guess that the person who played this originally played it on a 360 or a PS4, or maybe it's Xbox One, PS4, I don't remember if that's came out for last generation stuff. But overall, it works pretty well. If you click the pad, or you click the D-pad, it gives you third person, but the only thing that kind of sucks about that is you have to use the scroll wheel stuff to kind of scroll back in. And that can look a little bit messed up, like you're about to see in a minute here. I'm going to jump off this ledge, and then, I don't really jump, I kind of just fall off the ledge, and I land. But when you watch, I'm going to have to, like, reel it in, and it looks kind of janky. I need to figure out if there's a way that I can fix that, but I don't think there is. But overall, this setup serves me really well. I actually did an entire playthrough of the game like this. It was really fun. Really enjoyed it. Next up is Resident Evil Revelations 2. This game works really well. This doesn't even emulate a 360 pad. This is entirely based off of keyboard and mouse. I should have definitely changed the sensitivity settings for this video, but it's really nice having the gyro set to what it is, because it's just a mouse input for both the pad and the gyro. The gyro works really well with this game and with third-person shooter games like this. Like, I played Evil Within like this, and that was probably the best way that I ever played that game, because I played through most of it before on streams, I believe. But I just didn't. I don't know. I never really got the controls. I never really got headshots like I wanted, and I found that doing something like this makes it a little bit easier. You have a little bit more of an edge to your aim. I mean, it definitely helps that I have it set to where it emulates a mouse, which is way more of a fine-tuned movement. Even when it's a mouse that you're using a numpad, or not a numpad, but a trackpad for, it still ends up feeling better and easier to use than a stick, like an analog stick for me. But that's just my personal opinion. Again, this is all based off of my own opinion and me using this controller for a good 3 months now. Almost 4. I think it's 4. I lose track of time. I lose track of time when it's like my birthday was 2 months. Like if to me, like my birthday was like 2 or 3 months ago. But okay, next up is Sonic All-Stars Racing, and this is just a full lap of the game. It took me forever to realize this, but the way that this controller was this control scheme was set up was the gyro was activated by the left pad instead of the right pad, which is really confusing for me. And I'm just gonna let you know I'm not very good at racing games, especially ones that have a gyro control. Like Mario Party, I think it was 7 was on the Wii. I was terrible at that. So this game functions pretty well. It's a pretty good Mario Kart clone. I mean, it's Sonic All-Stars Racing. It wants to be Mario Kart, like really bad, but it works pretty well. The alternate stick was bound to the other pad, so when to do the little trick jumps, you just kind of flick your thumb up on the other pad, on the left analog pad, and it works just fine. Nothing more to really say about this. It functions as a racing game. Both paddles were, one of the paddles was bound to look behind, and the other paddle was bound to I believe it was throw items. And I actually found out that I could hold the pad, like hold the left trackpad down, so that I could control and steer. But if I kind of pushed it and angled it down, I could still throw stuff behind me. It was a lot easier than having to constantly look behind and still throw stuff. But no, I found that this is actually more fun. I felt like this ended up being a little bit easier, not with the gyro controls, but playing on this felt easier than using a 360 controller. I don't know if that's just because I all of a sudden got better at playing this game after not playing it for a long time, or maybe I just wasn't playing against people, but... And then next up is Shovel Knight. This will be this should be the last game that we're here for. I did one thing, or I did two things. I bound the right paddle to use your relic, which is the magical items. Normally what you see is like the axe throwing that you see in old Castlevania games. And then I bound the left paddle to a down shovel, like a down shovel attack, which actually ends up being pretty useful. For some reason, I don't know why, but whenever I use the invincibility relic in Shovel Knight and I'm recording, I turn invisible. I don't know what that is. It's just a weird bug. But it ends up working pretty well for platformers. You can rebind the D-pad, or you can leave the D-pad, bind it as a D-pad, and use that instead. And just kind of have it based off like a touch thing with it. I don't know. I prefer to use analog sticks for stuff like this. I never played that many hardcore platformers as a child, so it ended up not being that bad. But I have yet to find a game that I would play with a 360 controller that I don't like using the Steam controller for. I have yet to find one, period, at all, period. It works better than the 360 pad for me for all the games that I would use it for, and even some games that I wouldn't normally use it for. So with that being said, I really would recommend, if you have the time, to try out one of these. Definitely give it a shot and look into it. They're only $50. And to me, they're absolutely 120% worth it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the review. I liked making it, and I hope that you guys at least have a better idea of what the controller is. Even if you weren't going to buy one, I don't necessarily think that you... Like, if you don't want to try to spend... It took me like a good week to figure out how to use this controller. If you just want to get something that works, plug and play, go ahead. Buy an old 360 controller. They're cheaper, and even if you buy the wireless adapter for it, it will still be cheaper than buying a brand new Xbox One controller or a PS4 controller. But for $50, which is about the same price that you'd end up paying for a wireless Xbox 360 controller and the adapter for it, you can get a Steam controller. And if you want it, it's on this URL up here in the corner of the browser right here. Or you can just go to Steam and look up Steam controller and it'll tell you. I already wrote a review. This will be a video review. I'll probably add it to that. and I've had a lot of fun with it. 4 to 8 business days, how long it'll take you. Or you can go buy it at like GameStop, or Amazon, I think, ships it as well. In any case, thank you for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the review, please leave a comment or a like or something, just so that I know that it was good. If not, leave a bad comment. Constructive criticism is always welcome, or non-constructive criticism if you just want something that I suck. So, there's that. Bye, guys.